Hey, let's try to hunt down a big fight. It's a fight that is a five-star fight on BoxRec.com. It's for the IBF Light Heavyweight Championship. It's happening this week on the undercard of Devin Alexander, Andreas Kotelnik, and it is the fight between unbeaten champion Tavares Cloud. You need to know this name because Cloud has a 90% knockout ratio. He's one of the more explosive punchers in the sport, and he is the unbeaten IBF light heavyweight champion. And he is fighting the consummate professional, the pro's pro, 41-year-old Glen Johnson. Now, um, I'm just going to be as blunt as I can be, right? Glen Johnson is a plus 200 underdog. I do not know who is going to win this fight. This fight, to me, is too close to call because while Tavares Cloud has beaten some big names, he beat Clinton Woods, for example. I question whether anyone has ever been up on Tavares Cloud's chest like Glen Johnson is going to be up on Tavares Cloud's chest. Let me also make another point, too. Anytime you're dealing with a guy in his 40s, and Glen Johnson's not 40, he's 41. Whenever you're dealing with a guy in his 40s, and he is a lead puncher, not a counter puncher like Bernard Hopkins, but a guy who's going to be in there, in your face, throwing punches, hit and get hit, then there's a chance that this fight could end at any moment in time. However, here's a secret to gambling. You don't even really have to know who's going to win the fight to make money on the fight. We can make a proposal based on the styles of the fighters. Both of these guys are going to throw probably around 100 punches around. I see two likely outcomes. One is I see Glen Johnson coming in, getting up on Tavares Cloud's chest, and Tavares Cloud wilting just like Yusuf Mack wilted in Glen Johnson's last fight. Understand, Glen Johnson has made a career of taking on courageous opponents who then wilt when they can't handle his pressure, right? Don't compare this fight to Glen Johnson's wars against people like Chad Dawson and Antonio Tarver because Dawson and Tarver are counterpunchers. They're defensive fighters. They don't throw 100 punches around. They don't fight the way Tavares Cloud fights, right? So I could see Glen Johnson winning this fight either by knockout, unlikely but possible because when offensive bully types get exposed, they fall apart. You might recall Mike Tyson doing just that against Evander Holyfield, more the first fight than the ear biting fight, where Mike got systematically dismantled over time by a fighter who didn't really have big one punch knockout power, right? The other outcome I could easily see is Tavares Cloud coming out and just looking too dominant for Glen Johnson. Again, this isn't the Clinton Woods fight where Clinton Woods was basically fighting a defensive fight. Glen Johnson doesn't fight defensively, right? He's in your face for 12 rounds. And so there is a possibility that Tavares Cloud is just too young, just too explosive, and blows him out. I could see Tavares Cloud winning by KO, right? Also, understand the bias in the sport. Whenever there is an older fighter and he's in his 40s, trust me, there's a feeling that with the referee that that fighter needs to be protected. So no one is going to watch Glen Johnson getting cuffed around the ring by a big time hitter for, let's say 9, 10, 11 rounds and not stop the fight. If Glen Johnson has no shot of winning the fight on the scorecards and the young lion continues to devour him, I believe that a referee is going to step in and is going to stop this fight. Believe it or not, the over under on the match is 11.5 rounds, right? Glen Johnson's very hard to knock out. Um, but my point to you is you could get a plus 135 on the under 11.5 rounds. And since I believe that the only way Tavares Cloud wins this fight, the most likely way, is by knockout, and since I believe only Glen Johnson has a chance to win this fight by decision, right? He might knock out Tavares Cloud, but more than likely, if he's going to win, it would be by decision. Then the straddle play I believe in, and you'll have to figure out what meets your comfort level, is a straddle of Glen Johnson to win at plus 200, straddled against the under at plus 135. Remember, as long as both ends of the straddle are greater than even money, or greater than a plus 100, then if either happens, you make money. So the play I'm recommending is Glen Johnson to win, and he's the underdog, right? He could well lose this, but it's Glen Johnson to win at plus 200, straddled against the under 11.5 at plus 135. I believe of all the matches taking place this weekend, this one's the best. BoxRec.com calls this a five-star fight. I think that this is the match to watch this Saturday. I think Glen Johnson is a very live underdog. If he loses, I think it would be by KO. I think this is going to be an event to watch. Let me also say, too, that the winner of this fight gets right back into the mix at light heavyweight. Understand that two of the other champions, Jean Pascal and Chad Dawson, are actually fighting each other. So the winner of that match would obviously be a perfect candidate for the winner of this match in a unification at light heavyweight. As we enjoy the super middleweight tournament, just understand there are some other divisions that actually have some intriguing names, and Tavares Cloud is actually one of boxing's biggest secrets. This guy really is offensively explosive. There's going to be very little downtime in this fight. I'm expecting both guys to get up to 100 punches landed by the second round. In other words, this is going to be an offensive fight. There's not going to be a lot of defense apart from Glen Johnson holding his left hand up around his temple. So enjoy this fight. It's the one to watch this weekend. Remember, the play I'm recommending is Glen Johnson to win at plus 200, straddled against the under 11.5 at plus 135. Thanks for watching.